The acrid stench of burning ozone filled Nick's nostrils as she sprinted through the debris-strewn streets of Neo-Tokyo. Sirens wailed in the distance, a discordant symphony accompanying the chaos unfolding around her. Neon signs flickered and died, their once vibrant hues fading into the encroaching darkness. Nick's boots crunched over shattered glass and twisted metal as she vaulted over an overturned hovercar. Her breath came in ragged gasps, lungs burning from exertion and the polluted air. The weight of her plasma rifle pressed against her back, a constant reminder of the battle raging above. A deafening roar split the sky, and Nyx instinctively ducked as a massive shadow passed overhead. The Khargal warship, all sleek angles and pulsing energy fields, dwarfed the surrounding skyscrapers. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly iridescence, a stark contrast to the destruction it left in its wake. Nyx's comlink crackled to life. "Nyx, get your ass to the rendezvous point now." Reese's voice was strained, the usual cocky undertone replaced by raw urgency. "On my way," she panted, changing course down a narrow alley. The stench of rotting garbage assaulted her senses, but she pushed through, her mind racing with the implications of the Khargals' unexpected arrival. Just days ago, the Khargals had been humanity's most feared enemy. Now they were Earth's last hope against the Vrekari threat. The alliance was tenuous at best, built on mutual desperation rather than trust. Nyx still couldn't shake the memory of her first encounter with a Khargal warrior, the alien's obsidian skin and piercing silver eyes etched into her nightmares. As she emerged from the alley, a flash of movement caught her eye. A Vrekari scout, its chitinous exoskeleton gleaming in the flickering streetlights, skittered across her path. Without hesitation, Nyx raised her rifle and fired. The plasma bolt seared through the air, striking the creature with pinpoint accuracy. It let out an inhuman screech before collapsing in a smoldering heap. Nyx didn't slow her pace. The rendezvous point was just ahead, a nondescript warehouse that served as the makeshift command center for the human Khargal alliance. As she approached, the air shimmered, revealing the outline of a cloaking field. "Identification," a gruff voice demanded from an unseen speaker. "Sierra Echo 927, Nyx responded, her voice hoarse from the smoke-filled air. The cloaking field rippled, and a door materialized in what had appeared to be solid concrete. Nyx slipped inside, the door sealing behind her with a pneumatic hiss. The interior was a hive of activity. Humans and Khargals worked side by side, their differences momentarily set aside in the face of the greater threat. Holographic displays flickered with real-time battle data, while technicians frantically coordinated defense strategies. Reese spotted her from across the room and made his way over. His usually immaculate uniform was torn and stained with soot, and a fresh cut marred his left cheek. "Glad you made it," he said, relief evident in his voice. "We've got a situation." Nyx raised an eyebrow. "Worse than the alien invasion currently decimating our planet?" Reese's expression darkened. "The Vrekari have breached the orbital defense grid. They're preparing for a full-scale planetary assault." A chill ran down Nyx's spine. The orbital defense grid had been Earth's last line of defense, a network of satellites and energy weapons designed to repel any extraterrestrial threat, if it had fallen. "How long do we have?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Hours at most," Reese replied. "But there might be a way to turn the tide. The Khargals have proposed a joint operation. High risk, but if it works." He trailed off as a towering Khargal warrior approached. Nyx tensed instinctively, her hand inching towards her sidearm. The alien's silver eyes locked onto hers, and she felt a shiver of recognition. "Greetings, Nyx of Earth," the Khargal rumbled, its voice a deep bass that seemed to vibrate through her chest. "I am Duras, commander of the Khargal fleet. We have much to discuss, and little time to do so." Nyx swallowed hard, forcing herself to meet the alien's gaze. This was the new reality, she reminded herself. Former enemies united against a common foe. The fate of Earth, of all sentient life in the galaxy, hung in the balance. "I'm listening," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. As Duras began to outline the plan, Nyx couldn't help but marvel at the absurdity of the situation. Just weeks ago, she had been fighting to repel a Khargal invasion. Now, she was standing shoulder to shoulder, or whatever passed for shoulders on a Khargal with one, plotting to save humanity. The plan was audacious, bordering on suicidal. A small team, a mix of humans and Khargals, would infiltrate the Vrekari mothership using a captured scout vessel. Once aboard, they would plant a series of quantum disruptors designed to destabilize the Vrekari's hive mind network. Without their collective consciousness, the theory went, the Vrekari would be thrown into chaos, giving Earth and the Khargals a chance to mount a counteroffensive. "And let me guess," Nyx said, a wry smile tugging at her lips. "You want me on this suicide mission?" Duras' facial tentacles twitched in what might have been amusement. "Your reputation precedes you, Nyx of Earth. Your skills in covert operations are impressive." Nyx glanced at Reese, who shrugged. "Don't look at me, I tried to talk them out of it." She sighed, running a hand through her sweat-dampened hair. "When do we leave?" "Immediately," Duras replied. "Time is of the essence." As they made their way to the hangar bay, Nyx's mind raced. The odds of success were astronomical, but what choice did they have? If they failed, Earth would fall, and the Vrekari would continue their relentless expansion across the galaxy. The captured Vrekari scout ship looked like a monstrous insect, its organic curves a stark contrast to the sleek lines of human and Khargal vessels. Nyx suppressed a shudder as she climbed aboard, the interior pulsing with an eerie bioluminescence. The rest of the team was already there, 2 other humans and 3 Khargals. Nyx recognized one of the humans as Asha, a demolitions expert she had worked with on previous missions. The other was unfamiliar, a wiry man with cybernetic implants visible along his temples. "Nyx, meet Zephyr," Reese said, gesturing to the cyborg. "He's our tech specialist. If anyone can interface with Vrekari systems, it's him." Zephyr nodded curtly, his augmented eyes whirring as they focused on Nyx. "Pleasure," he said, his voice carrying a slight metallic undertone. As the team strapped in, Duras took the pilot's seat. The organic controls seemed to meld with his hands, and Nyx wondered just how compatible Khargal and Vrekari biology might be. A disturbing thought she quickly pushed aside. "Remember," Duras rumbled as the ship systems hummed to life, "once we're aboard the mothership, we'll have minutes at most before they detect the intrusion. Speed and stealth are paramount." Nyx checked her weapons one last time. A plasma pistol, a vibroblade, and a handful of EMP grenades. It felt woefully inadequate against the might of a Vrekari mothership, but it would have to do. The hangar bay doors slid open, revealing the chaos of the battle raging above Neo-Tokyo. Vrekari fighters swarmed like angry hornets, exchanging fire with Earth's remaining defenses and the Khargal fleet. Duras expertly piloted the scout ship through the maelstrom, its organic camouflage helping them blend in with the Vrekari swarm. Nyx's stomach lurched as they climbed higher, the curvature of the Earth becoming visible through the ship's translucent hull. And there, looming above it all, was the Vrekari mothership. It was a monstrosity that defied description, a writhing mass of organic technology that seemed to devour the very light around it. Nyx felt a primal fear grip her heart as they approached, every instinct screaming at her to turn back. But there was no turning back now. The fate of Earth, of the entire galaxy, rested on their shoulders. As they maneuvered towards a docking port, Nyx took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "Ready?" Reese asked, his hand finding hers in the darkness of the ship's interior. Nyx squeezed his hand, drawing strength from the contact. "As ill ever be," she replied. The scout ship shuddered as it made contact with the mothership's hull. For a moment, all was silent. Then, with a sickening organic squelch, an opening formed in the side of the mothership, tendrils of living metal reaching out to secure their vessel. "This is it," Duras growled. "May the stars guide our path." As one, the team rose and moved towards the airlock. Nyx's heart pounded in her chest, adrenaline surging through her veins. Whatever happened next would determine the fate of not just one world, but 2 species that had, until recently, been bitter enemies. The airlock hissed open, revealing the alien interior of the Vrekari mothership. Pulsing organic corridors stretched out before them, bathed in an eerie, shifting light. The air was thick and humid, carrying a sickly sweet scent that made Nyx's head swim. "Move out," Duras commanded, his massive form taking point. The team fell into formation behind him, weapons at the ready. They moved swiftly and silently through the twisting passages, guided by Zephyr's cybernetic interface with the ship's systems. Every shadow seemed to hold potential danger, every pulsing wall a possible alarm. As they neared the central hub where they would plant the quantum disruptors, Nick's instincts screamed a warning. She held up a fist, signaling the team to halt. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "It's too quiet." No sooner had the words left her mouth than the corridor behind them came alive with movement. A swarm of Vrekari drones poured out of hidden recesses, their mandibles clicking in anticipation. "It's a trap!" Asha yelled, already hurling an EMP grenade into the oncoming horde. The battle erupted in a chaos of plasma fire and alien shrieks. Nyx found herself back-to-back with Reese, their movements synchronized as they fought off the Vrekari assault. "We need to push through!" Duras roared over the din of combat. "The mission must succeed!" Nyx gritted her teeth, her plasma pistol growing hot in her hand as she fired shot after shot. The Vrekari seemed endless, wave after wave replacing those that fell. Just when it seemed they would be overwhelmed, Zephyr let out a triumphant cry. "I'm in their systems," he shouted. "I can redirect some of the drones." True to his word, a portion of the Vrekari swarm suddenly turned on their brethren, buying the team precious moments to advance. They fought their way forward, inch by bloody inch, towards the central hub. Nyx's world narrowed to a series of snapshots. The flash of her pistol, the screech of a dying Vrekari, the acrid smell of ozone and alien blood. Finally, they burst into the vast chamber that housed the hive mind nexus. It was a nightmarish sight, a pulsing organic mass that filled the room, tendrils of living circuitry stretching out in all directions. "Plant the disruptors," Duras ordered, his massive frame providing cover as Asha and Zephyr rushed to set the devices. Nyx and Reese held the entrance, a storm of plasma fire keeping the pursuing Vrekari at bay. But their position was untenable. Sooner or later, they would be overrun. "Disruptors are set," Asha called out. 2 minutes to detonation." Nyx's heart sank as she realized the implications. There was no way they could fight their way back to the scout ship in time. Reese met her gaze, understanding passing between them without a word. They had known this might be a one-way trip. "New plan," Nyx shouted over the din of battle. "Zephyr, can you access the ship's teleportation systems?" The cyborg's eyes whirred as he processed the request. "Yes, but I can only manage one jump with our power levels. And the coordinates would be random. We could end up anywhere in the galaxy." Nyx nodded grimly. "Better than certain death here. Do it." As Zephyr worked feverishly to access the teleportation systems, the rest of the team formed a defensive circle. The Vrekari pressed in from all sides, their inhuman shrieks filling the air. 30 seconds, Asha called out, her voice strained. Nyx felt a surge of something, not quite hope, but a fierce determination. They had come this far. They would see it through. "Ready," Zephyr yelled. The world seemed to slow down. Nyx saw the quantum disruptors beginning to glow with building energy. She saw the wave of Vrekari surging towards them, mandibles gnashing. She saw her teammates, human and Khargal alike, standing tall in the face of impossible odds. And then, just as the disruptors reached critical mass, reality itself seemed to twist and warp around them. There was a blinding flash, a sensation of being torn apart and reassembled atom by atom. And then, darkness. Nyx blinked, her eyes struggling to adjust. She was lying on her back, staring up at an alien sky filled with unfamiliar constellations. The air was thin and cold, carrying scents she couldn't begin to identify. Slowly, painfully, she sat up. Around her, the rest of the team was stirring, all of them miraculously intact after their desperate teleportation. "Where are we?" Reese groaned, clutching his head. Before anyone could answer, a new sound filled the air, a deep, resonant tone that seemed to vibrate through Nyx's very bones. She turned towards the source and felt her jaw drop. Rising before them was a structure that defied comprehension. It stretched impossibly high into the sky, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as she watched. At its base, a shimmering portal pulsed with otherworldly energy. "By the stars," Duras whispered, his usual stoic demeanor shattered by awe. Nyx struggled to her feet, her mind reeling. They had survived against all odds. But now they faced a new challenge, one that might reshape the very fabric of the galaxy. As the team gathered around her, still dazed from their improbable escape, Nyx felt a strange mix of emotions wash over her. Fear, certainly. They were stranded on an unknown world, with no way to contact Earth or the Khargal fleet. But there was something else too, a sense of wonder, of possibility. Whatever this structure was, whatever secrets it held, Nyx knew that nothing would ever be the same. The alliance between humans and Khargals, forged in the crucible of war, would be tested in ways they could never have imagined. As she stared up at the impossible edifice before them, Nyx allowed herself a small smile. They had saved Earth, or at least bought it a fighting chance. Now, a new adventure was beginning. "Well," she said, her voice carrying a hint of her old swagger, "I guess we'd better start exploring." And with that, Nyx took the first step towards the unknown, her unlikely team of humans and former enemies at her side. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The portal pulsed, as if beckoning them forward. The fate of not just one world, but entire civilizations, hung in the balance. And at that moment, Nyx realized that their mission was far from over. It had only just begun. As they approached the towering structure, the air around them seemed to thicken with an electric charge. The portal at its base pulsed with increasing frequency, casting eerie shadows across the alien landscape. "Any ideas what we're dealing with here?" Nyx asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zephyr's cybernetic eyes whirred as he scanned the structure. "It's unlike anything in our databases. The energy readings are off the charts." Duras, the Khargal commander, stepped forward. His silver eyes reflected the portal's pulsing light. "There are legends among my people," he rumbled, "of ancient beings who once traveled the stars, leaving behind gateways to other worlds." Reese snorted. "Great. So we might be looking at some kind of alien subway system?" Before anyone could respond, the portal flared brightly. A figure emerged, tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like starlight. Its eyes, if you could call them that, were swirling vortexes of cosmic energy. The being spoke, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "Greetings, children of Earth and Khargal. We have awaited your arrival for eons." Nyx instinctively raised her weapon, but a gentle force pushed it down. The being continued, "We are the architects, creators of the galactic network you have stumbled upon. Your united stand against the Vrekari threat has proven your worth." Images flooded their minds, countless worlds connected by portals, civilizations rising and falling, and a looming darkness that threatened to consume everything. "The Vrekari are but pawns," the architect explained, "in a game played by forces beyond your comprehension. We offer you a choice: return to your worlds and face inevitable destruction, or join us in the greater conflict that spans the cosmos." Nyx looked at her companions, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes. She thought of Earth, of all they had sacrificed to save it. But she also realized that their fight had always been about more than just one planet. "We didn't come this far to back down now," she said, her voice steady. "Whatever this greater conflict is, we're in." The architect's form seemed to shimmer with approval. "Then step forward, champions of your races. The true battle for the fate of all existence awaits." One by one, they stepped through the portal. Nyx went last, taking a final look at the alien sky behind her. As the energy enveloped her, she felt a profound sense of both ending and beginning. They emerged onto a vast platform suspended in space, surrounded by stars and swirling nebulae. Other beings from countless worlds were gathered, all drawn into this cosmic war. As Nyx and her team took their place among the assembled forces, she realized that their journey had only just begun. The alliance forged between Earth and the Khargals would now extend to the far reaches of the universe. The fate of all existence hung in the balance, and they would face it together, humans, Khargals, and 1,000 other species united against the encroaching darkness. Nyx allowed herself a small smile as she checked her weapon one last time. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever cosmic horrors they would face, she knew one thing for certain: the adventure of a lifetime awaited. And with that thought, Nyx stepped forward into her new role as a defender of the cosmos, ready to write the next chapter in the greatest story ever told.